Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're diving into an incredibly unexpected intersection. We are looking at what happens when the ancient theology of the Vatican collides head-on with the cutting-edge algorithms of Silicon Valley. What we're unpacking here is a massive 235-page theological encyclical released by Pope Leo, and it's essentially acting as an ethical blueprint for artificial intelligence. The main goal? Trying to figure out what exactly happens when the deepest questions of human existence meet the absolute fastest-moving technology we have ever created. It's a really fascinating exploration of how we safeguard humanity in the AI age. So, let's just dive right in.
Just take a second and look at the sheer contrast of these two figures. On one side, you've got Pope Leo stepping up to the global stage as this ancient moral authority. And right there on the other side, you've Chris Olah, the co-founder of Anthropic, which is literally one of the top AI companies in the world. And they were sitting just a few seats away from each other at the Vatican to discuss this massive technological paradigm shift. You really don't usually see big tech CEOs helping to launch a theological document. But this visual perfectly captures why this moment is so unique. We are looking at a direct dialogue between faith and code. And the message coming out of this unprecedented meeting? Well, it is definitely not sugar-coated. Pope Leo laid out a stark, uncompromising warning, saying quite simply, artificial intelligence needs to be disarmed. He's pointing directly to how AI is currently fueling world conflicts and fundamentally altering how war is even waged. Because, look, this isn't just about chatbots helping you write emails or generating funny images. The Vatican is looking at how AI touches the very core of human coexistence. They are sounding the alarm that the militarization of this technology is a literal existential threat. Now, you might be wondering, why is a religious institution stepping in right now? Are they just late to the tech party? To understand that, let's look at this timeline. The Catholic Church actually has a 130-plus-year track record of responding to massive industrial shifts. If we go all the way back to 1891, Pope Leo XIII issued Rerum Novarum, specifically to address the impacts of the Industrial Revolution on everyday workers and society. Flash forward to this era, and the current Pope, Leo, has been raising pastoral concerns about AI since his early days, culminating in this new encyclical. They see this as stepping up to meet the moment and safeguard humanity, exactly like they did over a century ago. So the absolutely crucial point the Holy Father is making here is that artificial intelligence is simply not morally neutral. It's not just a passive tool, like a hammer sitting on a workbench. It actively shapes decisions, it processes vast amounts of our human data, and because of that, it demands profound ethical constraints. The Church's argument is that if a technology has the power to impact human coexistence this deeply, we just cannot passively accept whatever tech companies decide to build. We have to actively guide it, and we have to prioritize human well-being way above corporate interests or unchecked innovation.
And to be totally clear, the Church isn't suddenly trying to write code or offer technical solutions. They are more than happy to leave the algorithms and the data sets to the computer scientists. Instead, they're intervening to offer a philosophical framework. Vatican analysts point out that this encyclical doesn't just broadly say AI is bad. It says humans are magnificent, and we are called to be more. It's a complete rejection of transhumanism. That idea that we should use tech to somehow evolve past our humanity. Instead, it focuses heavily on the common good, on ethics, and on recognizing the inherent goodness of people. And here is the really wild part. Silicon Valley is actually welcoming this intervention. The architects of AI know that these societal questions are far too massive for computer scientists to answer all by themselves. Like Anthropic's co-founder noted right there at the Vatican, anyone who thinks these matters are best handled solely by tech experts is seriously mistaken. The implications of AI aren't just scientific anymore. They are deeply philosophical and, yes, theological. The tech industry recognizes that they're building something so powerful, it absolutely requires a broader, human-centered moral compass.
So let's take a look at what that moral compass actually has to navigate. According to experts like Maria Chess over at Stanford University's Cyber Policy Center, AI forces us into a brutal series of trade-offs. Every day, we're basically weighing prioritizing society against prioritizing power. On one side, we have basic civil liberties and privacy, and those are clashing directly against national security demands. We've got the protection of creators and marginalized groups pitted right against corporate income generation and billionaire wealth. These are the very real, very high stakes of letting AI develop without a strict moral framework. Let's bring this down to earth and look at these specific ethical risks, because this really builds into a much larger societal issue. Right now, there's a handful of big tech monopolies, super eager to secure the pole position. And that eagerness risks a dangerous race to the bottom. When billionaire wealth is prioritized over everyday people, we see our civil liberties get eroded. We see algorithms perpetuating discrimination because they're relying on datasets that drastically underrepresent marginalized voices.
we see the very livelihoods of artists and cultural creators completely threatened. It's the everyday lives of everyday people that are getting caught in the crossfire of this technological arms race.
And listen, this isn't just some theoretical classroom debate. This brings us to a really critical real-world dispute. The U.S. Department of Defense actually requested unrestricted access to Anthropic's AI models for any purpose. Just think about the gravity of that for a second. Anthropic actually declined this request. They specifically sought guarantees that their technology would not be used for domestic mass surveillance. It highlights exactly why having firm ethical constraints and having companies that are willing to enforce them against state power is so incredibly vital right now.
Taking it a step further, in that exact same dispute, Anthropic also sought guarantees against the use of their tech in autonomous weapons. We are facing a genuinely terrifying prospect here. Cyber warfare and AI-powered combat happening in total secret, outsourced to private interests, without any democratic mandate or accountability whatsoever. Experts heavily stress that if these technologies are going to be used in conflict, it has to be based on a mandate from the people and strict public accountability. Outsourcing the decision to take a human life to an unaccountable algorithm completely erodes the foundation of international law.
And the real-world consequences of getting this wrong? They're devastating. Stanford policy experts point to modern conflicts like the one in Gaza to highlight this massive gap between tech promises and harsh reality. AI is so often sold to militaries on the promise of precise bombardments, this neat, clean idea that algorithms can miraculously minimize collateral damage. But as experts note, the staggering amount of civilian casualties on the ground tells a drastically different story. It's a tragic, sobering reminder of exactly why Pope Leo is so urgently calling to disarm AI.
So how do we prevent these dystopian outcomes? Well, the encyclical and international policy experts both advocate for a really structured, unified path forward. Step one is foundational. We have to put human well-being, not corporate greed, at the absolute center of innovation. Step two requires actual regulation. We need a rigorous rule of law that binds the abuses of power from both the massive tech companies and the governments. And step three demands independent verification and public accountability. Warfare and huge societal decisions are ultimately human responsibilities. They can never, ever be outsourced to a black box. Ultimately, this unprecedented summit between the Vatican and Silicon Valley leaves us with one incredibly urgent question that we all need to consider. If AI is fundamentally shaping the future of human existence, who is really making the decisions behind the technology you use every single day? Is it a handful of computer scientists? Is it algorithms silently prioritizing profit? Or is it humanity itself, actively guided by a moral compass? That is the question we absolutely must answer together before this train permanently leaves the station. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the technology that shapes our world.